Hello and welcome to my AutoAudiography of this week. If you watched my last video, you know I was very sick, and I said I was going to get this up at the end of the week. I don't know what you consider the end of the week, but Friday counts. I consider Saturday. Does your week start with Sunday or... Oh, that's dumb. Why would I say that? Either way, the album that I'm talking about this week, and I said in my last video that it's very different than what I've been doing. And by that, I mean it's not music. It's a comedy album. The album I'm talking of is Sprezzatura by Jimmy Pardo. And as you can see, this is actually framed. I have this vinyl framed. I'm actually going to pop it out just to show it off a bit. But get its frame off here. This album, and Jimmy Pardo in particular, really this album is just a medium or a way for me to talk about Jimmy, as opposed to just saying it. I mean, don't get me wrong, love the album, love anything he's ever done. But what I want to talk about more is his podcast, Never Not Funny. But first, now that I destroyed that, this is Sprezzatura by Jimmy Pardo. Came out in 2003. Nope, wrong. 10 years after that. 2013 on a Special Thing Records, AST Records. And Sprezzatura, definition on the back here, is a certain nonchalance, so as to conceal all art and make whatever one does or says appear to be without effort and almost without any thought about it. And that describes Jimmy Pardo perfectly. Everything he does is just funny effortlessly. It's just every quip, every word. To me, there's nobody better. Very heavily influenced by Rickles and Carson. So you can kind of get an idea of where his comedy's at. Now don't get me wrong, I've forced Jimmy Pardo on a lot of my friends, and usually they backlash and hate me for it. But there is nobody funnier to me than Jimmy Pardo. There is nobody who has funny in the bones as much as Jimmy Pardo to me. On the cover here, you see it's autographed. It says Brandon ! I agree, and then he signed it. There's a running joke he does where if your name is spelled a different way, like if your name is, I don't know, John, just Jon maybe, that's a poor one. Maybe Todd with just one O. No, that's the wrong way. That's incorrect spelling. So when he asked me how my name was spelled to sign this, I said Brandon. I said the correct way, and he said he agrees. That's what he signed. And I guess I'll get to that story eventually. First, Jimmy Pardo. This is just black wax, by the way. Black wax. There's actually a picture of him on the back here. I don't know if you'll be able to make that out. You may know him from... he was Conan's warm-up guy for a while. He did a few appearances on Conan. He hosted National Lampoon's Funny Money in... That may have been 2003. That may be where that year came from. And then he hosted AMC's night dinner, movie night, something like that, with Rachel Quaintance for 5 seasons. And he's also currently hosting the game show on... I want to say the Science Channel, that Race to Escape, where they're all in like a room and have to get out of the room. But what I want to go to start is where Jimmy Pardo came into my life, and more effectively, where Never Not Funny came into my life. Never Not Funny is Jimmy Pardo's podcast he does with Matt Belknap, Elliot Hochberg on video, if you will. And they have an intern, and the intern now is Garen Cockrell. But... when I started listening, it was, I think Elliot had just started, and the intern, I believe, was Dan Katz. That doesn't matter. Those names mean nothing to you. Either way, I started listening to the podcast. I was always into podcasts, and I just stumbled upon Jimmy Pardo one day. I don't know if it was on somebody else's podcast. I don't know if I saw something online somewhere. I have no idea. But the minute I heard him, I knew that this is what my brand of humor is. I knew that this is what makes me laugh like an idiot. And I had to hunt down everything. And there was a lot of Never Not Funny out there. I was actually, when I discovered it, it was during my time when I was really sick. I wasn't even sick. I probably had like a cold or something, but it's when I thought I was having a heart attack. I don't know if I talked about this before, but I weighed 300 pounds. I thought I had a heart attack. I hid it from everybody. And then I just got anxiety about it, and I just stayed at home. I thought I was going to die every second. That fear of death is still with me, but my health now lets me kind of balance it out. But one of the only things that could take my mind off of potentially dying, that could take my mind off of what I would leave behind. Like that's where I was thinking. It wasn't I was scared of what was happening. I was already scared of what people were going to do without me. I was worried about people around me, and I was worried that I couldn't be there for them. And I was so sad for them that I was dying. There was no question in my mind I was dying. In my head, I had a heart attack. By the way, I've had things done. They could never tell me what it was. They have no idea. But I had a very sharp chest pains, left arm numbness, started to black out. Never figured it out. But it hasn't happened since. Knock on wood, I guess. But I also think that after the heart attack, my anxiety kind of took over. I've never had anxiety before in my life, so it was a whole new discovery when that happened. But Never Not Funny was the relief in my life at that point. If I put an episode on of Never Not Funny, I could get lost in their conversation, and it was the only thing for, I'm going to say months, that actually made me laugh. Not just smile, not just grin, not just chuckle. I would genuinely laugh. And Jimmy brought that lightheartedness to me, even though sometimes the thing he says are not lighthearted. But just continue that. I just listen to every Never Not Funny episode I can, every one of them. Even listen to, they do a telethon, podcastathon, it's called, where they podcast for 12 hours and raise money for the thing called the Smile Train. And the Smile Train does cleft lip and cleft palate surgeries for children in third world countries. There's some here in America as well, I think, but mainly third world countries and other countries. And the hook with that they're not selling you a car. For $250, you pay for one surgery for a child. That covers hospital. That covers everything. Hospital, surgery, recovery, medicine, everything. And that's pretty amazing. I actually donate to it myself. I have a thing at work that takes a certain amount of money every week out of my check and just goes right to that. But in my darkest time, the light that shone through was Never Not Funny. And eventually, it's weird to say, but because some people don't even know what a podcast is, but it was kind of a dream of mine to be, it sounds weird to say on the podcast because it's not really that, but they do some episodes where callers call in and they just, a little banter back and forth between, Jimmy and the gang and you. But I actually got one better. My girlfriend actually sent him a message, I think it was Facebook or email, and said that I donate to Smile Train. She couldn't really afford anything for a present for me. It was our anniversary or something, and she didn't really know what to get anyway. Just to put a feel out, say maybe he could call me, just say hello. It ended up he called me on air on the podcast. So there's actually an episode. The guest at the time was Joe. Oh no, it was. Oh, it's gonna kill me. It's gonna kill me. No, it's gone. Not gonna come to me now. Matt Myra. Matt Myra was the guest. I might get if you're interested, I could tell you what episode it is. But he actually called me on air. We had a bit of a back and forth. It was honestly, it sounds weird, but it was a dream come true. That the man who kind of got me through the whole group, honestly, but I mean Jimmy in particular, because he's, it's Daddy's dojo. That's his joke. They got me through what was my darkest time, and now it's even hard to describe when I listen to Jimmy or when I listen to the podcast now, how much I truly appreciate it. Like the moments when I'm not laughing, it's almost like I'm just letting it soak in and appreciating it, because it really did something for me that I didn't think anything could. I might be able to say that Never Not Funny saved my life, because if I would have been thinking 24/7 about dying and having a heart attack, I may have thought myself into a heart attack. But moving on past that, after I was on the show, I always would tweet things that would, remind me of Jimmy or something that I thought of him about it. Never really expecting anything back. Never really got anything back. But then it was my birthday, I think, and Tara, my girlfriend, got me tickets to go see Jimmy in Erie. I live, I don't know how long it was, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours away from Erie. And we drove up to Erie. We were going to stay the weekend. We drove just to see Jimmy. That was the only reason we were in Erie. And I tweeted him before I knew he was leaving to, like, on his trip. And I said, hey, could you bring vinyl? Because I know he didn't really bring vinyl. And I knew this album was on vinyl. So I said, hey, can you bring that on my vinyl? Never on any response. Didn't really think of anything. Sat directly in front of him on the stage during his set. That was a dream. I mean, I've always adored stand-up comedy. And to me, Jimmy embodies everything that is stand-up comedy. Even though he'll tell you he doesn't write a joke, he just does crowd work. But it's so, you have to be so quick, you have to be so on, you have to have such charisma, and it's really something for me that it's astonishing to witness. And I sat right in front, actually got used a little bit in it. Had a little fun at my expense, but I've never laughed harder. And Tara even said that when we were waiting, she said, you've never looked happier. And I honestly don't think I ever was. It was the best time I've ever had. I couldn't appreciate it more. I couldn't tell her how much I appreciate it, honestly. Even when we left, I was shaking. That's how much I enjoyed it. But after his set, he said he'll be out there for a meet and greet. He'll have some of his albums out there. And he said, I got the vinyl too, and he pointed at me. So he kind of knew it was me. I mean, I had a picture on my Twitter, but I didn't think, he would notice anything. We go out to meet him. I buy the vinyl. Tara gets a CD. Hers is signed too. And Tara actually says, I don't know if you know who we are, And he's like, of course I remember you. What am I, an asshole? And that's just another level of how much I truly appreciate Jimmy Pardo and how much he truly means to me, is that he didn't need to care about me. He didn't need to remember me. He didn't even need to bring the vinyl. He lives his own life. It's not my problem. It's not his duty to please me. I mean, he's an entertainer, so maybe he is. But he did, and he remembered me. And it was honestly, it was like a dream come true, meeting Jimmy, seeing Jimmy, being on the podcast. If I never have any other interaction with the podcast, if something happened and I could never listen to it again, my life would still be complete, podcast wise, I guess. What the fuck am I saying? I don't know, but there wouldn't be an emptiness, because listening to what I did helped me through such a time that there's such a warm place in my heart for it, that no matter what happens, that will always be there. That could never change. I mean, unless Jimmy comes out and, like, supports, I don't know, the return of the Reich or something. I don't know. Maybe then I could go the other way. Maybe. I'm sure he has some killer Auschwitz jokes. Well, I don't know how this went this path. I went from talking about how great it was to joking about Auschwitz. Moving on. So like I said, I mean, I hope you enjoy this. I get kind of real in these, and I'm uncomfortable with it. But if you saw my last video, you know I was sick, and I'm healthy now. Not only sickness-wise, but I weighed 300 pounds when I started listening to Never Not Funny. There's videos of me that I think I probably weighed 300 pounds. I lost 90 pounds. I think I put on 10. I'm trying to put on some muscle now to build back up. But I lost, so about, I lost 90 pounds total, but 80 pounds at this stage. And I've never felt better in my life. I've never felt healthier. It was a complete lifestyle change. And I don't want to say Jimmy Pardo is responsible, because my fear of death is responsible. But Jimmy Pardo, Matt Belknap, Elliot Hochberg, Garen Cockrell, Dan Katz at the time, they all helped me through this. And Jimmy Pardo in particular showed me that there's good people not only out there, there's good people in entertainment, and that funny can solve anything. If you're funny, if you can find humor in something, you don't need, there's no problem. You can't find a problem. I don't know what else to say. Jimmy Pardo, Sprezzatura. If you will, please check out Jimmy Pardo. Although this is a time where I'll say that if you don't like it, don't tell me. But if you do like it, I will gladly talk to you at length for a long period of time about Jimmy Pardo. More than this video, which I don't think you care about 15 minutes of me talking about maybe dying and listening to a stand-up comedian. Thank you for watching. Check out Running with Comics. I don't know. I don't even know how I say that. If you're watching mine, you're definitely watching his. But if you're not, check out Running with Comics, Audiographies. It's kind of a dual. I don't even like saying that word, and it doesn't work here anyway. It's a crossover event between our channels, if you will. But thank you for watching. I'm going to go on a hike. Thanks. Thanks. What the